talking about the primary last night. Two big events, of course, on the Democrat and Republican side. Jeff, good morning. So let's
Good
start.
morning.
Let's start on the Bernie Sanders side. A big win for Bernie Sanders.
Well, Bernie Sanders wins the state of Wisconsin with 57% of the vote, which is remarkable considering 6 months ago he trailed by over 60% behind Hillary Clinton. So it was hers to lose, and she did by about 13, 14 points. So though she still gained at least 36 of the 86 delegates or so. There's still a handful of delegates to be decided, but he gets the lion's share before the contest move on to New York in more friendly territory. In fact, just like Bernie Sanders, Ted Cruz, they call this win here. They say it signals a turning point in their campaigns. But these campaigns are going to be going on in New York in Trump and in Hillary Clinton friendly territory, at least at this point. But Bernie Sanders, it's remarkable when you break it down. He won just about every county in this state besides Milwaukee County.
Well, this is going to be an important state if Hillary does become the nominee. Wisconsin's going to be an important swing state.
Well, it certainly is becoming that, and who knew that Wisconsin would be so important within the primary process, and it has. And I mean, it's already April 6th, and at this point, we don't have our fingers on the front runner like we did, 12-8. 12 years ago, and so it's pretty remarkable.
On the other side, the thought was this bad week that Donald Trump had, was it going to turn into a bad night in Wisconsin? And it turns out a big night for Ted Cruz.
Yeah, and look, he did have a bad couple of weeks, and perhaps today and in the coming days and weeks, the narrative will change. There might be some new drama that we'll start talking about. That will take over, but look, I mean, he is going into New York, and he leads handily over any competition ahead of that state's looming, primary contest.
Yeah.
With Clinton, she's about a 10-point lead over Sanders, and that could shift. But what does it mean? Ultimately, it's the delegate count, and Clinton enjoys. While he's closed the gaps, Sanders on Clinton, she's got about 1280. He's 12 and a half. He's got about 980, and he's really worked the ground game and really drawn in that younger demographic that's eluded her. But like Sanders in Milwaukee, the African-American vote is eluding him, and that's problematic. And she's also got the superdelegates, which is a really big problem for Sanders. And on the Republican side, John Kasich, he didn't get any delegates here, but yet he remains in the race and a problem for Donald Trump and for Ted Cruz. Now, it makes it more difficult for Ted Cruz and Donald Trump to be able to secure the nomination at 1237 in terms of the delegate count. It certainly is possible. It just makes it more difficult. In fact, Trump said that, a win here would have sealed the deal, would have closed the door to the nomination, and I believe he was right, but now it's just a little bit more difficult for him.
Well, and are we to the point where we can say this really kind of puts us to a point where we can almost say contested convention is pretty likely?
Well, yeah, I mean, it certainly is possible, and in a scenario that more people are talking about, certainly John Kasich is hoping for that to happen.
Yeah.
But you've got both the Trump and Cruz campaigns saying if that happens, and if somebody, if, as Cruz would say, if a white knight comes in and is crowned the nominee by the establishment over these two guys, Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, really it's a two-man race according to both these candidates. If that happens, there will be a revolt, and people just won't vote, and basically they'll be handing the general election to either Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders, and right now it looks more like Hillary, but anything can happen.
All right, Jeff Monosso, Fox News, we appreciate your time. Thanks.
You bet.
All right. Interesting stuff. The speaking of the political world, of course, we had this congressional race going on for Richard Hanna's seat, and Assemblywoman Claudia Tenney is on coming up in a few minutes. And one of the things that she put out We're going to have her on at 7:05, I think. One of the things she put out over the last couple of days is after the budget, she came out and said, listen, I voted against everything in the budget. I voted against tax cuts to the middle class. I voted against education, the cut, the increase in aid. I voted against the elimination of that gap elimination. I voted against the minimum wage, of course, and I voted against the hospital, and I voted against the money coming to the area for nanotechnology. But I did it because the budget was that bad. There was so much in the budget that I had to vote no on everything. So she'll be on this morning to kind of discuss that just a little bit. Worth talking about, right?
Absolutely.
And does there come a point, though, where because when you look around at other conservatives, they voted yes on elements of the budget. Now, if you know, here's the thing, if you know that the minimum wage is going to pass, and oh, by the way, you're in the assembly and you're at a huge deficit. I mean, you're in the minority, a huge minority. And if you know it's going to pass, and it includes millions of dollars for your area, which could turn into jobs and money for the hospital, how do you vote no on that?
Well, as you said, you know it's going to pass anyway.
But how do you vote? Wrong. But if you know it's going,
I guess you could make a statement that way.
So the vote, who's the statement for? Is the question. So we'll find out when we talk to her, because a no vote, would really be a statement only for the only one that's going to benefit is the brand of Claudia Tenney. Right? How does that no vote benefit the area? That no vote only benefits your brand. I want to talk about that with her coming up. So we'll see. Peter Franklin, Gabby Cabby is coming up. Hold tight. And he's in New York City. Here's Christine Bellino now with an update. Good morning, Christine. Good morning.